Hi, welcome back to Faye in Stories. Imagine being the father of the atomic bomb. You've seen the first mushroom cloud rise. The desert turns white. Silence. Then thunder. J. Robert Oppenheimer. Genius. Jewish-American physicist. He read Sanskrit for fun. Quantum mechanics was his playground. The very project that built the first nuclear bomb. Now, here's the twist. One day during a lecture, a student asked Oppenheimer, was this the first time a nuclear weapon had ever been detonated?
Let me guess. He said yes?
No. He paused and replied, in modern times, yes. Ever since, people have wondered, did ancient civilizations possess nuclear weapons? Was there a highly advanced society long before us that destroyed itself? Today we're diving into the ancient nuclear war theory. But this idea isn't just fantasy. It's called the ancient nuclear war theory, and it actually has two camps. Camp A says humans had advanced tech in ancient times and nuked themselves into extinction. Camp B says it wasn't humans, it was aliens. They nuked Earth for reasons we still don't understand.
Honestly, both sound crazy. But if I had to choose, I'd bet on humans destroying themselves. We're kind of good at that.
I mean, we did invent TikTok, so yeah.
But if aliens did it, why haven't they come back?
Maybe they're waiting for us to reach a certain stage again before hitting reset.
Like a test we keep failing?
Exactly. What if human history isn't a straight line, but a loop? Civilization rises, reaches its peak. Boom. Nuclear apocalypse. Dark ages. Rinse and repeat.
You're saying we're like version 7.3 of humanity?
Something like that.
And the scary part? There are signs, real physical evidence that something did happen. Evidence that doesn't fit in the official timeline. A desert full of melted glass. A buried city with radiation. Ancient text describing fire brighter than 1,000 suns. And a massive underground city with space for 20,000 people, carved by hand? Why would ancient people build something like that?
So, where are we starting?
Let's begin with a mystery. Why did humanity spend over 100,000 years doing absolutely nothing, then suddenly invent iPhone?
Maybe they were too busy making nukes?
Let me ask you something. If modern humans have existed for over 150,000 years, why does recorded history only cover the last 5,000? Biologically, humans 100,000 years ago were just like us. Same brain, same body, same potential, and yet, for over 100 millennia, no cities, no math, no writing, nothing but hunting and gathering. Then, out of nowhere, around 10,000 years ago, we ignite cities, empires, science. It's like someone hit a switch.
Like we just decided to invent everything overnight?
Exactly. Quantum computers in 50 years, but a hammer took 100,000? Something doesn't add up. Either humans were mind-numbingly lazy, or something kept hitting the reset button. What if there were civilizations before us? Advanced ones, wiped out by war, climate collapse, or their own inventions. And then nothing. Everything starts over from scratch. Here's the thing. Nature's the ultimate eraser. After a few thousand years, concrete crumbles, metal rusts. In 10,000 years, even skyscrapers become dirt mounds. Rain, wind, time, they don't just erase, they devour.
So, if a city existed 50,000 years ago, we might never know?
Exactly. Now check this. The oldest known permanent settlement, Çatalhöyük in Turkey, about 9,000 years old. People lived in stacked homes, no doors. They climbed in through the roof. That's why many researchers suspect lost civilizations. Not just once, but multiple times.
Maybe it's not repeating history. Maybe it's one long, dangerous pattern we keep failing to break.
Exactly. And speaking of missing history, there's a place in North Africa where the sand didn't just melt, it turned into glass. Let's go there next. Let me take you to North Africa, specifically the Libyan desert. Back in 1932, an engineer was crossing the sands on a survey expedition, expecting nothing but dunes and heat. But what he stumbled upon changed everything. Scattered across the desert floor were huge patches of yellow-green glass. Not shards, not pottery. Solid, smooth, natural glass, stretching more than 10 kilometers.
Glass that big can't just appear. Something must have unleashed unimaginable heat.
Exactly, this wasn't man-made. It looked like the desert itself had been fused by temperatures over 1,800 degrees Celsius, far hotter than lava. And here's the problem. Only a handful of events can reach that kind of heat. One is a volcanic eruption. The other is a nuclear blast.
But there are no volcanoes in that region, which leaves the second option.
Right. The area is geologically dead. No lava tubes, no volcanic rocks. That leaves either a meteor impact or something even stranger.
Meteor strikes leave craters, big ones. Was there one?
None. No crater, no debris, just miles of glass sitting in silence. And this glass isn't obscure. The ancient Egyptians valued it. Tutankhamun's scarab brooch, that glowing green stone in the middle, it's Libyan desert glass.
Even the pharaoh was wearing the aftermath of some cataclysm.
And here's where the theories get wild. Some scientists suggest it was caused by a massive airburst, an explosion in the sky, so powerful it mimicked a nuclear detonation. The evidence goes beyond the glass. The sheer size of the affected zone, the purity of the silica, the depth of melting. It all points to a heat source unlike anything natural.
Could lightning storms explain it? They can fuse sand into glass.
They can, but only in tiny spots. That's called fulgurite. And fulgurite looks like branching glass roots, not vast, flat plains of glass stretching for miles. Whatever caused it happened long before modern nuclear weapons existed. Which raises the question, who had that kind of power back then?
Or worse, what if Earth itself is the battlefield of civilizations we barely remember?
Buckle up, because the next chapter brings us to something even darker, a buried city, a mysterious mass death, and a story that feels eerily like a nuclear disaster from 4,000 years ago. Let's move from Africa to South Asia. There's a place called Mohenjo-daro, one of the earliest known cities in human history. Built around 2600 BCE, its name translates to Mound of the Dead. And that name turned out to be disturbingly accurate. For centuries, locals avoided the site, calling it cursed. But when archaeologists finally excavated it, they found something chilling. Dozens of human skeletons scattered across the city. On the streets, near doorways, by public wells. No wounds, no signs of conflict, no mass graves, just people, frozen in place as if death swept through in an instant.
Instant death with no trauma? Sounds less like war, more like a force of nature.
That was the puzzle. At first, researchers suspected disease, a plague maybe. But lab analysis told a different story. Many of the skeletons showed signs of intense heat exposure. Some were partially carbonized. And nearby stone buildings? The bricks had melted together, fused like they'd been flash cooked. Then came the twist. They detected elevated levels of radiation across the site. Not normal background radiation. Levels similar to post-nuclear test zones.
So we're talking heat intense enough to melt stone and radiation strong enough to linger for millennia. That's not natural.
That's exactly what some theorists think. And then we turn to the ancient Indian texts. In the Mahabharata, a massive epic written over 2,000 years ago, there's a passage describing a weapon called Indra's arrow. Not myth, not poetry, a detailed account of something terrifying. A single projectile charged with all the power of the universe. It exploded in a column of smoke and flame as bright as 1,000 suns. The city was engulfed. Corpses were burned beyond recognition. Hair and nails fell out. Birds turned white. Food became contaminated.
That's radiation sickness, word for word.
And there's more. Survivors were told to bathe in rivers to cleanse the contamination. It's eerily clinical, almost like post-blast decontamination protocol. And that's just one text. In the Ramayana, there are descriptions of flying machines called vimanas, not metaphorical chariots. Actual vehicles described as double-decked, made of light metals, powered by mercury vortex engines, capable of vertical takeoff, swift aerial maneuvers, and dropping destructive fire from above.
Which in modern terms sounds like a cross between a drone and a stealth bomber.
Exactly. And the question is, if these texts are just fantasy, why are they so disturbingly specific? You show a nuclear explosion to someone from the Bronze Age, they don't call it a warhead. They call it a god. When you line it all up, a city with fused bricks and scattered heat-charred bodies, anomalous radiation levels, ancient epics describing sky weapons and symptoms of radiation poisoning. It stops feeling like coincidence. To some researchers, it doesn't even feel like speculation anymore, just forgotten history.
And if something like this happened once, who's to say it didn't happen more than once?
Exactly, and in the next chapter, we dig deeper. Literally, we're going underground. So far, we've talked about cities turned to glass, people flash-fried by unknown forces, and ancient texts describing radiation sickness. But what if some civilization saw it coming and decided to hide?
Ancient bunkers.
Exactly. Let me take you to Turkey, specifically Cappadocia. Beneath that landscape of strange chimney-shaped rocks is a place called Derinkuyu. It's not a ruin. It's a fully functional, multi-level underground city, carved straight into volcanic rock, 18 stories deep.
18 levels?
And it could house over 20,000 people, plus livestock, food stores, water wells, schools, kitchens, even wineries. Not just a shelter, a self-sustaining ecosystem. Now here's the kicker. It's at least 4,000 years old. That's older than the Roman Empire. So theories that it was built to hide from Roman persecution? Already off the table.
Then who or what were they hiding from?
That's where things get eerie. Derinkuyu isn't just deep, it's defensive. There are massive rolling stone doors at each level, like giant corks, that can only be locked from the inside. The tunnels narrow strategically to force invaders into single file. Ventilation shafts run vertically throughout, with hidden exits and emergency passages. This wasn't carved in a panic. It was engineered. Someone planned for long-term survival.
That sounds more like prepping for extinction than escaping a local conflict.
Bingo. Now imagine this. You're an ancient civilization. Something happens. Some cataclysm so devastating you can't stay on the surface. Radiation, chemical fallout, biocontamination. You go underground, seal yourself in, wait. And when it's finally safe, you emerge to rebuild.
But wait, radiation seeps into everything. Even air. Wouldn't ventilation shafts kill them?
Good catch. But not if the threat wasn't conventional radiation. Some researchers point to neutron weapons. Devices that kill living tissue but leave structures intact. No long-lasting fallout. Just instant biological wipeout.
A neutron bomb scenario from 2000 BCE.
That's one theory. And here's another twist. Derinkuyu isn't unique. There are hundreds of underground cities across Cappadocia, many interconnected, most still unexplored.
Hundreds? That's not paranoia. That's a coordinated response.
Exactly. Which raises the question, what kind of global scale event could make entire populations abandon the surface and stay hidden for generations?
Makes modern bunkers look like panic rooms.
Right? And if you think this only happened in Turkey, you might want to take a look at what's buried beneath China, Peru, Iran, and even the American Midwest. But that's for later. For now, just remember, when ancient people went underground, they weren't hiding from myths. They were hiding from something real. You've probably heard the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, two ancient cities supposedly obliterated by fire and brimstone from heaven. Most think it's just religious metaphor, a moral tale. But what if it was a memory? Archaeologists have been digging near the Dead Sea at a site called Tal el-Hammam. What they found mirrors everything we've discussed, but it happened thousands of years ago. Bricks melted into glass, pottery exploded from internal pressure, organic matter vaporized, and the soil fused into black glass, rich in carbon and silica. That kind of destruction doesn't come from fire. It comes from something much worse.
Like what? A bomb?
A cosmic airburst, just like Tunguska. Only this one left no crater, because the explosion happened high in the sky, but the devastation was far greater. And here's the haunting part. Dozens of human skeletons scattered across the city, still clutching tools, frozen mid-action, as if the sky opened and ended everything. They even found shocked quartz, a kind of rock only formed under pressures similar to atomic blasts. And the human remains, not buried, scattered, skeletons twisted in unnatural positions, some mid-stride, some fused into walls, one reportedly still gripping a tool, frozen in time.
Like Pompeii, but hit from the sky.
Whatever happened here, it came fast, hot, and from above. And here's the wild part. This happened nearly 4,000 years ago. No bombs, no missiles, no war, just silence, then fire.
And people remembered, in their scriptures,
What we now call myth might be the world's oldest eyewitness report of a nuclear-scale event. What do we do after destruction? We rebuild. It's almost like human instinct. Civilizations collapse, but survivors always find a way. After events like Tal el-Hammam, or Mohenjo-daro, or the Libyan desert blast, there's always a next chapter. Not just survival, but recovery. And some cultures didn't just rebuild, they encoded the memory. The Mahabharata speaks of flying machines and blazing columns of energy. These aren't random fairy tales. They're consistent across geography, language, and time. Every continent has myths of people emerging from caves or mountains after the sky fell. Why caves? Why mountains? Because that's where survivors hid.
So we're not just imagining ancient nuclear war, we're reading survivor accounts passed down for millennia.
Exactly. The memory stayed even when the science was lost. If we fell tomorrow, what would remain in 10,000 years?
Probably not much, just ruins and myths.
And maybe some AI-generated voices whispering, "We've been here before." So here's the twist. Ancient nuclear war might not be just history, it might be prophecy.